Hello everyone, good afternoon. We'll wait for more 5 minutes for more participants to join and then we'll begin with the webinar for today.
Hi India, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi Aman, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So Nenda will be moderating the session,
Right,
and she'll take care about the session.
perfect. So I also shared my PPT with you. So I hope you will be able to share the PPT from your end because it becomes very difficult for me to do it from here.
Yes, sir,
While
sure.
Sure. Thanks, India.
Nenda, is the voice getting echoed?
Yes, sir, your voice is getting little echoed.
Who's mine?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Okay. Let me just try using my these headphones.
Yes, sir,
Just give
sure.
me one. Sure.
Is it any better now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. I'll just use this. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good
So I'm
afternoon.
ready whenever you are.
Yes, sir, we'll begin with it.
Cool.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Nirnaya Gadekar, welcome you all on behalf of Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai and Eco Roots Foundation for the webinar on e-waste management organized by Maharashtra National Law University in association with Eco Roots Foundation. Maharashtra National Law University is one of the premier law institutions in India. The university is established in the year 2015 and in the year 2014 under the Maharashtra National Law University Act 2014. It started its first academic endeavor in the year of 2015, and the university disseminates the advanced legal knowledge under the able guidance and mentorship of the university's chancellor, Honorable Mr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, and under the able guidance and leadership of its Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Dilip Uke. MNLU Mumbai also laid its emphasis on the research project, clinical exercises, legal skill training, legal research, mooting by encouraging its students to participate and represent the university in the national and international competitions. We have various centers established to conduct the advanced research like Center for Arbitration, Center for Information and Communication Technology, Center for Research in Criminal Justice, Center for Clinical Legal Education, Center for Maritime Law and Research, Justice M.L. Pense Chair in Environmental Laws, and many more. Justice M.L. Pense Chair, Justice M.L. Pense Foundation has established the environmental chair in Maharashtra National Law University, and since its inception, we have been creating general awareness among the people about the threat and the existing activities of the human pose to the nature and the need of the stronger laws to protect the abuse of natural resources. On 3rd of November 2019, we had organized a program compliance under the environmental law in the university, which was attended by the eminent personalities in the field of environmental protection and law, including Mr. Justice Satyendra Kumar. Under the chair, we have taken a number of outreach activities, most important being the research project on biodiversity and eco-sensitive Western Ghats. Eco Roots Foundation is a non-profit organization working for environmental and ecosystem conservation with the focus on interacting with the younger generation to provoke both thought and action towards this. The major focus of the foundation is to interact with the younger generation like schools and colleges along with the corporate employees by inciting the thought and the actions towards the environmental and ecosystem conservation. In India, the quantity of e-waste and the electronic waste has now become a major problem. The disposal of the e-waste is an emerging global and environmental issue as well as the public health issue. As this waste has become the most rapidly growing segment of the formal municipal waste stream in the world. Having said this and moving forward with the event for today, I would like to invite among us the resource person for today's webinar, Mr. Nipun Kaushik. Sir did his LLB from Gujarat National Law University, Gandhinagar, and did his MPhil in International Law from the Center of International Legal Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. Post this, sir have been working with the NGO sector for the last 13 years, both at the grassroots and the national and international NGOs, right from conceiving the programs to the implementation of that. Have worked with the NGOs like SOS Children's Village of India and Oxman India. Currently, he is serving on the boards of Ecosensitive Foundation and Avatar Development Foundation, along with the executive body member of Janhit Foundation. Sir has keen interest in environmental conservation and have been constantly contributing towards the sustainable development goals, engaging in the advocacy, project implementation, and interacting with the youth. Sir, I welcome you on behalf of MNLU Mumbai. Sir, you're not audible.
Thank you, Nirnaya. Thank you for that detailed introduction. So, shall we start with the session today?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So, I believe you will share the PPT from your end.
Yes,
you
just
can
give me a minute. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, sure. So, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. I know this is not something particularly from the legal background that you all come from, though I also come as a lawyer by education, at least, and have been working with the NGO sector and environment being one of my areas of interest for a really long time. So, so I have been. So we'll start with understanding how e-waste has suddenly become such an important issue. Like, we were not talking about electronic waste. Can you put it on the first slide? Yeah. Like, we were not we so electronic waste till about first century, and the first time
Sir,
that it got the problem.
your
Yes.
voice is breaking a little bit.
Okay. Is it any better now?
Yes, sir, yes, you're perfectly audible now.
Perfect. So, Nirnaya, can you put it on the first slide? This is a much later slide in the presentation.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah, no problem. So, so e-waste is electronic waste, as we all understand, is any electronic and electrical item that we all consume on a daily basis, right from our mobile phones to our television sets to our washing machine to laptops is a big electronic item that has become like a part of us today in our life system. So, and COVID has sent us all online. So, being online, obviously, laptops and mobiles have become an important part of our lifestyle system. So, and so, how is is an electronic item hazardous to us? Is it an important issue to us? Not really. So, only when electronic item becomes not worthy of use anymore.
Sir, you're not audible.
Sorry.
Sir, your network is having some issues, I guess. You were not audible.
Oh, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Because I am in a good network area. Anyways, Linnea, can you put it on the next slide, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we were talking about electronic and electrical waste. So this is a slide that basically showcases different producers in the country who are also supporting this whole cause, which was started by the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, now as it is called, MOEF and CC. So this is these are all the stakeholders, different stakeholders. They have the producers. That is an important recycler in India. They were the first recyclers in India. Go on to the next slide, please, Nirnaya. So, Nirnaya already spoke about EcoRoots Foundation, so I would not go into the details of EcoRoots Foundation. And we have been doing this e-waste awareness programs across the country. We have already conducted over 2,000 workshops and webinars around it. And I'm very happy to announce that as a result of these workshops and webinars, we have been able to set up almost 30 collection centers across India. So one of the very good examples of this was a school in Sambalpur in Odisha. They started a collection drive within their school, and within a month they collected almost 400 kgs of electronic waste in their school itself, which was later on sold, which was later on sent to an authorized recycler, and they could gather close to about 2 lakh rupees out of that, which they could use into their CSR activities and promoting more of our kind of awareness programs within their school and around. So yeah. So that is something which your college can also think about, or the students can take this initiative of putting up a collection center in the college itself where students can pick up their old phones, because most of the times what happens is a lot of electronic and electrical waste keeps lying at our homes. And what we need to do is we need to, when we are promoting this today with this whole workshop, we will go into the details of not only the legal framework of how we should do electronic e-waste management, electronic and electrical waste management. We'll also go into how we as people, we as individuals can become more responsible towards electronic waste management, e-waste management. And one of the areas could be that we will, we will take a vow today that we will only give our old phones or old mobiles to an authorized recycler, because there is a lot of opportunities out of that. Nirnaya, can we move on to the next slide, please? So we'll also study about the hazardous impact of, next slide, please go on to the next slide. We've already spoken about. The next slide, please. Nirnaya, please move on to the next slide.
Yes, sir. Slide that I have on the screen is about the challenges. Do you want me to move to the further slide as well?
No. So no. So now I can see the challenges. So e-waste management as a whole ecosystem of e-waste management, we have four kinds of major challenges that we face. One is social, one is environmental, one is economic, and one is legal. So environmental problems or environmental challenges are the challenges which come out of one, there is an uncontrolled material flow. There is a lot of, obviously, electronic and electrical items have become such an important part of our life cycle, life system, our lifestyle, that we can't sustain without them. And obviously, when there's a life cycle to these products, and when the life cycle ends, when they become disposable, then there is no means to dispose it off properly in most of the cities. Only the important cities now have the authorized recyclers, though now the number is increasing. Now a city like Meerut, where I come from, has almost 24 authorized recyclers working right here, recyclers and refurbishers working out of this place. So that is improving, that is changing. And then what is the environmental challenge? It causes environmental hazardous impact, it causes health hazardous impact. The social problem is with respect to the lifestyle. So we all know that we are right now living in a lifestyle of waste. We don't buy things because we need them, but we buy most of the things because we want them. Like a good example of this was during the COVID times. If there are 3 children in a household, they will possibly have 3 different laptops for each child, so that they can have their own classes with no funda of possibly sharing the laptop, sharing the system, sharing the mobile phones or whatever. Possibly the means are there, so that's why there's a lifestyle of waste that we are having. Then we move on to the legal challenges. So currently what is happening is that the legal system internationally as well as in India, though the first time that we started talking about it was 1990, and it has been a long time, but still the legal framework is still evolving. In India, we still do not have a proper law. It is only in the form of rules that things have come out. We'll talk about this much in greater details in the coming up slides. So when it comes to the economic challenge, so like I was talking already about this, that we do not have authorized recyclers in most of the smaller cities. Delhi has too many, Mumbai would have too many, but when we go to the smaller cities, there are not too many recyclers. And so the whole e-waste management or this whole thing is dependent on the informal sector. हमारा रद्दी वाले को चला जाता है सारा सामान, जो कबाड़ी वाला आता है, he only takes up a lot of these old electronic and electrical items, which is not the right way to do it, because he doesn't know how to dismantle it, he doesn't know how to recycle it. So Nina, can we move on to the next one? So with the challenges, like the challenges, we also have opportunities. So there is an environmental opportunity attached to it. So if we have a proper system in place, if we get aware and if we get sensitive towards e-waste management, then a lot of you might have heard that last year when the Tokyo Olympics happened, also the Tokyo Olympics and the Para Olympics when they happened, they were all the medals and all the, like, even the frames of the bouquets that were given to the players, the winners, were created out of e-waste. Even the parapet on which they were standing were created out of e-waste. So it is a huge opportunity, environmental opportunity, of creating things out of e-waste, and it will obviously lead to reduction in pollution levels in the cities. Then social opportunities, like I already spoke about it. We need to start thinking about what is needed and what is like really needed. Can we reuse it? Can we recycle it? Can we still keep using it, repair it and use it? We need to start thinking on those lines, because we need to understand that once it goes to the waste cycle, then it becomes hazardous if it's not recycled properly. The legal system, again, because we are at a stage I'll share another example with you here. Like, social media marketing was a first generation job about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Similarly, because the legal framework is still evolving, so you as lawyers and law students might take up this opportunity to contribute towards e-waste management, to contribute towards the legal framework of e-waste management in the coming years. Like there is a strict rule which came in 2012 in India, that you cannot anymore import any old electronic items into India from outside, because it contributes to the e-waste generation of India. And India has suddenly become the third largest producer of e-waste in the world after US and China. So it is alarming for India. It is today, it has reached an alarming state, certainly, and we need to curb it. Economic opportunities, like I was talking about the informal sector. If the whole e-waste management sector is formalized in India, like in the US or in the UK, like when I went to Netherlands, it was a different scenario altogether with respect to e-waste I saw there. So if we create a system like that, there'll be too many green jobs around. It will be a completely new industry which is waiting to happen in India as well. Nindya, can we move to the next one? So here we are talking about, like I already spoke about, the health effects and environmental effects. Here we talk about that if an e-waste is not, disposed of properly, then if it is burnt and fumes, out of the fumes of e-waste, we get dioxins, we get lead, we get arsenic, copper, mercury, cadmium. These are the major byproducts of e-waste burning. So if and you all know, I won't go into the details. These all heavy metals are very hazardous, both for the environment and for the people who are living around that place where this is happening. Like, I'll give you an example of Delhi. In Delhi, Ghazipur, you must have heard of Ghazipur, where there are mounds and mounds of and heaps of, now it's as big as a mountain, the whole dumping ground there. So, what happens there? Almost an area of 2 kilometers, which includes Papparganj, Mayur Vihar. Some people who have any connections to Delhi would know this. Some areas of even Noida are affected by the fumes which are generated out of that, dumping ground in Ghazipur in Delhi. So, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah. So here. This we have already discussed, though, that what are the different types of e-waste creators. So they come from scanners and copiers, they come from mouse, keyboards, other electronic devices, personal electronic devices like iPods, monitors, laptops, cell phones, audio, video equipments, televisions. I'll give you another example other than this. Like, a car has almost some of these cars which are coming up today, or an electric car, like which is a new industry coming up today. So EV, which we popularly know them as, in an electronic vehicle, almost 40% of it is going to contribute tomorrow to electronic. So, like, though we are moving towards the electronic vehicle segment completely, and we want to move towards that because it is certainly more environment friendly, but it has one drawback, which is that it will contribute a lot towards e-waste management. So we also, as a country, needs to start thinking about disposing it off properly. Can we go to the next slide, please? Linnea, the next slide, please.
Yes, sir, I'm on the next slide. It is the life cycle of the electronics.
Perfect. Yes. So this clearly shows where we are today, how it is managed in India today, and where is the scope of improvement. So we look at manufacturers, like we saw this whole slide where there was Samsung, there was LG, there was Nokia. Like, I'll give you one small example of 2008, where Nokia was the first brand in India to actually start thinking about e-waste management, where they installed these mobile collectors outside their stores, Nokia stores. Nokia used to be a famous brand back then, and they started this whole campaign where you can contribute or donate a mobile to that, which is an old mobile, not usable mobile, and you will get 200 rupees out of it, or 300 rupees out of it, or whatever. So what used to happen was people used to actually come and dump their old mobiles into it, and that used to go to an authorized recycler, and a lot of its parts could be recycled, reused, and all that. So that is something which has now come as a guideline in the 2016 rules of e-waste management. We'll talk about that. So the life cycle of electronics is, we start from manufacturers, we go to the retailers, then we, the consumers, and secondary users, as we all understand. Then waste management consists of collectors, recyclers, refurbishers, and then it goes to either landfill. Now this is very important. Now, if we understand the proper management of e-waste in India, or we start improving our behavior towards e-waste and e-waste management, then we will certainly realize that we are going to reduce the things going to landfill. It needs to go to the incinerator, and some of the parts can be exported, like Japan did that whole thing by importing a lot of e-waste from different countries, the Olympics and Paralympic medals and other things. Then refurbish and recycle. It's the focus what we look at. So next slide, please.
Can you see the slide?
Linnea, the next one. Next. Yeah,
yes,
I can see the
changed.
slide. We can actually move to the next one, because you can move to the next one. We have already discussed this. So this is just this slide is just showcasing how it is becoming more and more toxic. Like, you can see the fumes coming out of landfills if they're burnt, and they create absolutely environmental hazards. There are health hazards attached to it. So let's look at the evolution of e-waste management in India. Right. So 2002 was the first time when we started talking about electronic waste in India as an environmental issue. Because 2002, we were the 5th largest producers of e-waste in the world. Then in 2008, there were guidelines which came out for the first time, but there was a very, very small guideline, very, very short format of guidelines which came out in 2008, which spoke about the recyclers in India, authorized recyclers, and we set up 2 recyclers immediately in India. One was in Delhi, one was in Mumbai. The advantage of being in these big cities is that it is still a talked about concept for close to about 14 years now. Then we moved to the next major year, which was 2012. So 2011 and 12 were the first years when electronic waste law came out as e-waste management rules 2011, which were notified and gradually implemented in 2012. 12 law clearly stated that no more import of electronic items from, not just electronics, but electronic items. What a lot of companies used to do was, Microsoft, for a good example, Microsoft used to dump a lot of old laptops into Indian philanthropic sector, saying that they are giving it here as a charity for trainings and this and that, and then it became contribution from India towards the e-waste and not from the country of origin. So that was completely banned in 2012, and no more of this is happening. So in 2012, 100 dismantlers and recyclers were also set up. Then in 2016, there was a revision, which was, now what we see as e-waste management rules is 2016 rules. So there was a major revision which created a more responsible producer organization. Even end of the cycle producer responsibility was created out of the 2016 rules. We'll go into these details. And more than 140 recyclers and dismantlers in India today. So 2018 came to these we have currently, but उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा changes नहीं हुआ था. And then as of now, we have close to about 400 authorized recyclers and dismantlers in India. Next slide, please. So United Nations Environmental Program, this is one of the wings of the United Nations. They started discussing e-waste management or hazardous waste management in 1990 for the first time, and which resulted into Basel Convention, which was ratified and enforced by 153 countries, including India. The focus of this convention was controlling transboundary movements of hazardous wastes and their proper disposal. So as a result of the Basel Convention, as a party to the Basel Convention only, we came out with the rules in 2011 and we stopped e-waste or electronic items being imported into India completely for old electronic items to come into India because they are considered hazardous product. And the Basel Convention also spoke about proper disposal, and it spoke about creating dismantlers, it spoke about creating authorized recyclers in India, in the whole world, so that it doesn't become a problem. But India woke up very late. India woke up only when we became the third largest producers of e-waste in the world. So there was an amendment to this, and in 2012, United Nations International Telecommunications Union and Secretariat of the Basel Convention, which was signed in 1990, ratified in 1992 though, 53 countries, including India, were part of this new international agreement on e-waste management, which was done in 2012. Then India formulated its e-waste management and handling rules 2011 for the first time. The second rules, as I've already spoken about it, 2016 is the main now that what we have. There was a very small amendment in that law increasing the responsibility of the producer organizations in 2018. Next slide, please. We'll go into the salient features of this 2016 rules we have currently in India. So as I've been speaking about, the producer responsibility organization, all the organizations which have been creating electronic and electrical items in India, which have been producing these electronic and electrical items, have a responsibility now under these rules to basically also create an end of life disposal mechanism. So they are the ones responsible for setting up more recyclers, setting up more collection centers, all of that. So in 2016, CFL and all mercury containing lamp products were also brought into the purview of this particular rule. So here is one takeout for you on a behavior point of view. So we need to start thinking about, so we can't give out our CFL to the into the dustbin, or our batteries into the dustbin, or our bulbs into the dustbin, or the raddiwala. What we need to do is an old CFL needs to be stored properly, and when we decide to dispose our other e-waste products into a proper collection center is when we also dispose those off. So just keep a corner in your house and keep collecting it, or possibly start a collection drive in the college and create a center in the college where you can collect all the all the students can do that, teachers can do that, and it can be disposed of collectively. So one thing where I would though it's a big it's a big list, but one takeout here is that it created extended producer responsibility. So not only the producer but also the consumer, and all of us are responsible. Like we looked at that stakeholder cycle of an e-waste electronic product earlier. So there each from the producer to the retailer to the consumer have a responsibility towards e-waste management in India by the e-waste management rules 2016 now. So the SPCB, which is the State Pollution Control Board, actually controls this in each state and is working extensively towards creating a more sustainable model of e-waste management and is reaching out now to smaller cities also. So can we go to the next slide, please? And there are heavy penalty clauses also. So not as consumers, obviously, but to the producers and to the retailers there are. So now let's look at the behavioral point of view. We have looked at the legal point of view. Now let's look at the behavioral point of view. So there is collection of e-waste, there is sorting of e-waste, processing of it, repairing, recycling, dismantling, and components which can be recovered and reused into the new products. Next slide, please. So this is one particular slide that I really want you all to focus on, and I really want you to take it with you today. That is reduce, reuse, repair, and rethink. So the 4 R's of e-waste management is reduce. So don't buy unless you need it, or share your gadgets with other people so that share your gadgets with at least your brothers, sisters, and whosoever you can, your husbands, your wives, or whatever. Reuse. So if you are if you want to buy a new one, then at least don't just throw it in a corner of the house and think that 2 years later, if something happens to my new phone, then I'll possibly use it as a spare phone. No, give it to somebody who can reuse, who can still use it, because in those 2 years it will become not useworthy, unusworthy completely. Repair. So have this habit of, like I said, lifestyle of waste is what we are living in today. So we to come out of that, I think we need to start imbibing repair also into our lives. So let's fix our gadgets rather than just buying new ones just because we can afford them. And rethink. Rethink is again focusing on let's buy only what we need and not what we want. So please, please, please take this with you today. Reduce, reuse, repair, and rethink is what we're talking. Next slide, please. So I think let's not go into this. I'll just quickly point out a few points out of here. One being that, always look at the catalog of the product. There is always now, by the rules itself, by the notification which came out in 2018, it is very clear that each electronic and electrical item need to have a end of life equipment handling guidelines there, as you get this pamphlet inside your product itself. So ensure that only authorized recyclers, repairs handle your electronic products. Don't give it to anybody to repair it or recycle it. And put it only in the authorized collection centers or organized collection drives, and contact a collection center to pick it up from your houses or whatever. Let's go to the next one. And one very important thing here is don't give your e-waste to the kabadiwala, to the unorganized sector like local scrap dealers and rag pickers, because they usually just burn it. Nirnaya, the next slide, please. They usually just burn it, and that leads to a lot of fumes which are hazardous health-wise, environment-wise, and that's not right. Nirnaya,
Sir,
the next
the
slide,
next
please.
slide is visible. There are the pictures on the screen.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So this is how these were the pictures. A friend of mine took in, like I was talking about Amsterdam, where they have a proper e-waste recycling mechanism now. And one of these slides, further slides, like next slide, please. So this slide will talk about, we can even, like, because these products are expensive and there are things, even natural elements like this one. So if you look at this, the left one below, you actually see there are some of the discarded electronic items can be used in saving energy and Earth's natural resources. So don't send it on the landfill to keep them toxin free. And if there's a proper system of e-waste management, then it will reduce the emission of greenhouse gases also. And this is very important. several very precious metals like gold, silver, copper, bauxite, etc. can be extracted and reused. And this is how the medals were created in the Olympics and Paralympics recently in Japan. Next one, please. So this is, I've already spoken too many times about it. So we can go to the next slide, please. So this is the medals, the showcasing the medals at, so you can actually look at it, collecting 30.3 kg of gold and, about 4,100 kgs of silver and 2,700 kgs of bronze out of e-waste, how these medals were created. So this is something which is absolutely our own consumer responsibility. So be a good consumer, read the manual carefully, reuse it, follow the 3 R's: repair, reduce, recycle, reuse. Let's go to the next slide, please. Also, another important thing which is there is that please, look at also creating awareness around e-waste to the other people. So just don't go from here and just leave this knowledge right here, but spread it around to the other people. We can actually go to the next one. This is just talking into the collection centers, and there are toll-free numbers. I'll specify that number also. So yeah, be the eco warriors and help us in e-waste management properly. Next slide, please. Next slide, Nirnaya. I think that's the last slide here.
Yes, sir. I am on the last slide.
Okay.
Is it visible on your screen?
So yeah, it is. So yeah, so you can actually see a toll-free number here. There is one of the, I've also set up a website. I have also given you a website here. Or you can always write to me or call me up if you need any help regarding e-waste management and other environmental issues. Also, if you ever want to talk, just give me a call and just a call away. I think that's all from my side. If anybody has any questions around this, please go ahead and ask those questions. Anybody?
If anyone have any questions, you can just post it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask. So we'll wait for 2 to 3 minutes to see if we have any questions in the chat box. So you're not audible.
Yeah. So I was just saying, let's take a pledge, all of us, that when we go today, we will be more responsible electronic item users, and also e-waste managers, because we will dispose them off properly. Only give them to the authorized recyclers and collectors, not give it to the kabadiwala at all. These are certain takeouts we certainly have. Please, as lawyers, as legal people, please go and read those rules. The government is thinking, the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change is actually thinking of creating a whole law onto it. And we are expecting something by 2023 is what the minister said. So if some of you want to do some kind of advocacy, I see some of the, I'm sure some faculty members are also here. If some of you want to promote or ask your students to contribute towards the law, you can study the rules currently and then pitch in, help us have a better law when we table a law in the parliament in 2023. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much, sir. I guess there are no questions from any of the participants. So moving further, now I would like to invite Mr. Aman Khare, Research Assistant at MNLU Mumbai, to extend the vote of thanks.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. And it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and the entire family of Maharashtra National Law University, Mumbai, extend a very hearty thanks to Ministry of Environment, Government of India, EcoRoots Foundation, and to Mr. Nipun Kaushik for enlightening us about the e-waste hazards and its management. You have very categorically put forward the importance and need for saving the environment. I would like to give special thanks to Honorable Professor Dr. Dilip Uke, Vice Chancellor, MNLU Mumbai, Professor Anil Variat, Registrar and Chair Professor Justice Emil Pensi, Chair Environment Law, for engaging us into activities for spreading environment protection and awareness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks ahead. It requires planning and then bird's eye view for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues who knew their job and are result-oriented. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zone. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to Mr. Sajid Sheikh, Assistant Professor, MNLU Mumbai, for guiding all of us. Special thanks to Manohar Sir for the perfect logistics support and Ms. Narna Gadikar for moderating this session. Thank you, the participants, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for organizing. Thank you.